Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. What an experience this conversation was for me. I feel like I made a new friend when I was meant to be just interviewing someone. This chick is kick-ass and incredible, one incredible human being. Her achievements absolutely blew my mind. So a lot of the things we hear, there's people that have been riding motorbikes since they were, 3, 4 years old. This awesome chick first got on a motorbike at 20 years of age, and since then, and she's not that much older than that, she's gone on to accomplish so many things. Some of them being that she was the first female to qualify for a world super sports race. In 2011, she was the first female to test a MotoGP M1 prototype race bike. You get to hear about that. She had Rossi on track at the same time. She has finished top 10 in Daytona 200 and she has kicked butt in endurance races all over the world. This woman, Melissa Paris, is a mother. She is wife to professional motorbike rider Josh Hayes, and she has founded her own motorbike racing team, MP13. Today we discuss her experience riding a superbike and the MotoGP bike. We discuss her photo shoot with free gun underwear, and we also discussed Taylor Swift. Yes, you heard that right. This woman has no boundaries and she lives her life the Melissa way. It is so refreshing to hear, I tell you. So I'm excited for you to join Melissa Paris and I for What the Andra, brought to you by the Pecino Report. First female to qualify in the World Super Sport and only female to test. Is that still the case? Are you still the only female that's tested?
I'm sure since then there must have been more.
Should be some. But you were the first.
The first on the Yamaha, at least. I know before me, Elena Myers tested the Suzuki, and I'm not sure. I think there's been a woman got to test one of the Hondas. I mean, every once in a while they'll throw us a bone, right?
Yeah. So what was that? I mean, just to stop at that quickly, what was that like? Because they're obviously crazy powerful compared to...
Yeah, it was a really weird, the way it all came together was really strange. So my husband is a superbike racer, and he was racing superbike here in the US at the time. And it just came up where they're like, we want to do something nice for you, Josh, because you're our champion. And so we're going to arrange for you to go test the MotoGP bike. And, Melissa's one of our supported riders. So since you're going to ride the Tech 3 bike, she gets to ride the Tech 3 Moto 2 bike. And I was like, over the freaking moon, because I had raced 250s before. So I was like, oh, I get to see what a Moto 2 bike is like. Like, this is going to be amazing. I'm pumped. And so Josh is like, all right, this is going to be really cool. And then actually at our last race of the year, the test the day after, Josh was able to get me on his superbike, which I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I get to ride a superbike. And I remember I rode his superbike and I was like, this thing's miserable. Like, it is not fun to ride. It is like, it wants me off. Like, Josh even was just like astounded. He's like, you're going in a straight line and the thing's just like head shaking. Like, the bike doesn't know you're on it or something. And it was like really difficult. And I was like, whoa, like, I hate superbikes apparently. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I can't ride it.
It's like training a horse. It's like training a rodeo horse.
I was like, this thing hates me. Like, I don't understand what's going on. So I was like, okay, like, like wipe the slate clean. And, I just was like, well, I'm just, I'm not really that good of a rider, whatever. It's not that big a deal. And so then, the tragic accident happens with Marco Simoncelli, and Colin Edwards gets injured. And so now, instead of Josh just going to test the MotoGP bike, they're like, you're going to fill in for Colin Edwards. And Josh is like, cool, I've been eating like cookies and ice cream since the season ended. I don't even know if my leathers fit. Yeah, and he's like, no, you want me to like...
And what time period was that? How quick did he have to...
Because that happened in Malaysia. So, I mean, he knew in a matter of like a week or something, It was like real short, but we'd stopped racing like for a month at that point. So it was, we'd both been on the couch for a minute. So... he was like, oh, Jesus, like, this should be gnarly. So, and then when we get there, I find out that someone from Yamaha basically was like, why is Melissa going to ride the Moto 2 bike? Like, that doesn't really make sense for us as a brand because she's a Yamaha rider and they have Honda engines in them. And so, like, we're not really sure that this is like on brand or whatever.
Uh,
And then Hervé, who owns the Tech 3 team, was like, problem solved, ride my GP bike.
you're like, okay.
I was just like, all right. And it was so funny because I was talking to him and I was like, dude, I really want to ride the Moto 2 bike.
Yeah.
and he was like, why? And I was like, because it's like relatable to me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, you don't want to ride that thing. Ride the G. I mean, he was so cool about it, you know? So
Awesome.
I was like, okay, well, like we'll see. And generally when they let people press or they call them like like a press ride. Like when they let people like that do something just for the publicity, they're usually like, we're gonna put stainless steel brakes on it. You're gonna get like 5 laps. Like we're gonna turn the traction control up to the moon. Like whatever you do, like don't fucking kill yourself, please.
Yeah.
And so they're like getting everything ready. The track was like kind of patchy, wet and dry. And Josh and I are sitting there and we're talking to Cal, and Josh looks over and he's like, the carbon brakes are still on that thing. And so he asked Hervé, he's like, you gonna put the stainless brakes on for her? And Hervé's like, she wants to ride a GP bike, doesn't she?
Give her the real experience.
Yeah, and like immediately, like Cal, it was pretty cool because Cal Crutchlow was like super nice, and he was like, okay, like here's what you want to do. Like when you first go out, you're not gonna have any brakes and like resist. Like you don't want to like drag the brakes because then when they do like come in, they're gonna come in really abruptly. So you gotta like grab the brakes, let go, grab them, let go. And so he's like telling me what to do, and I'm just like, holy shit, like this is insane. And so I got all my leathers on and I'm like, so how many laps can I do? And they're like, the tank is full.
Go for it.
Like, just go ride. And I was just like, okay. Like, all right.
So what happened? How did it compare to the other bike?
It was actually so much better than Josh's stupid Superbike. Like, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It just like it revs so fast that I felt like I couldn't like grab the next gear. I wasn't ready to like be grabbing another gear. I think that was like the thing that was like most startling to me. But like ergonomics wise, I sat on it and I was like, they made this thing for me. This thing was like made for me. Like it was made exactly for me. Like where the Superbike was like,
that gives me goosebumps. I don't even.
Yeah, it was just like Superbike was like big and like I was like, oh, this is like a big man's bike and like I can't reach anything and I feel stretched out and I don't like it. And I got on that GP bike and I'm like, everything's where it should be for me. Like this, I mean, because GP riders are midgets, right? So they're the size of your average American woman, right? So like in that respect, it was really cool. Like I was pretty intimidated because the track was still like a little patchy wet and like Rossi was on track. Like I was like, aren't you supposed to like send me out here with all the other like knobs who don't know what they're doing and like
don't have like, anyone important watching me? Just let me.
Like what the hell? But it was cool, like, and I did, I don't know, probably 10, 15 laps or something like that. And the big thing was like Josh had teased me. He was like, you better like hold it wide open because they're gonna like they're gonna look at the data just to see. And like he was just giving me a hard time, but that was like really in my head because I didn't want anyone to be like she was holding the thing like half throttle down the front straight. So I was like, no matter what, like when I come out of the last turn and get the thing completely stood up, I'm putting it to the stick.
I'm opening up, I'm going,
yeah, like I mean I'm gonna shut off probably before start finish, but I'm gonna like hold it wide open. And Josh like laughed afterwards because he was like that first lap, him and Cal were standing on the pit lane and he said like you came out of the last turn and Cal says to me, I think she's fallen off because they're like you were tucked in so nicely behind the screen, like it looked like there was nobody riding the bike.
There's this bike.
Yeah. And I guess like Cal made some comment like she's like on the gas and Josh was just like, yeah, she's motivated.
Did you clock it? How fast was it?
I don't remember what the top speed was, but I do remember it was faster than Josh's fastest trap speed. Like, yeah, obviously the lap time was really slow, but my top speed was like the engineers were laughing that my top speed was faster than his because I'm so much smaller than him, So like that's like my one claim to fame is like technically
absolutely hold on to
that. Him. Yeah. So it was cool. Like my only regret I wish I could go back and tell myself is to have like pushed harder, because in my
Yeah.
mind I was like, don't fall down.
Yeah, yeah.
And like now when I look back, I'm like, they're never gonna let me ride one again anyway. So
Oh, you
what
never,
difference would
yeah.
it have made if I put it in the trees? You know what
True.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. And other
never.
people do. It's not like it never happens.
Yeah. So like, I wish like that's, if older, wiser Melly could go back, I'd have been like,
Mm-hmm.
give her. but
Yeah.
um, but it was really cool.
Oh,
And
what a
and like
cool
the
experience.
whole time, the main thing I just kept thinking is like, someone's gonna realize who I am and that I don't belong here, and they're gonna tell me to go home. You know what I mean?
Isn't we all have that imposter syndrome, I think, no matter what
Yeah,
we do, don't we?
cause I'm just like some chick from like riding in the canyons, like, and I just feel like I'm with the band my way in here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone's gonna realize that like my backstage pass is like made on
Mm-hmm.
a
No, get out,
photocopy
yeah.
machine. But yeah, but it was great. It was a
Oh,
really cool experience, and like the
abs-
biggest thing was like everyone on that team was so awesome. The Tech Three, like that whole team was just like really cool group of guys. So I
oh, that's what
enjoyed
you
that.
want.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So I did see too that you first rode a motorbike at 20.
Yeah, it was late. There was this really cute guy that lived the floor down from me in my
I
dorms.
knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, and he had a sport bike, and I was like, that's pretty hot. And
Yeah.
so we started talking, and I was like, take me for a ride. And he did, and he like scared the Jesus out of me. But we started dating, and I was just like, immediately immersed in the culture
Uh-huh.
and saved
Just
up for
felt
a
at home.
bike. Yeah, like started saving
Mm-hmm.
up, used part of a student loan to buy my first bike, and
Yep.
yeah, just like, when you find the thing that
Yeah.
I knew like right away. I was like, it was like so,
Found your place.
yeah,
It
it
was
was like
your, yeah.
terrifying, but I wanted to do it anyway, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I love that more because you hear of so many people that have just started riding when they were, our kids' ages and
yeah.
this and that. So I love that you just went, nah, I'm doing this.
Yeah, and it was
And
funny
yeah.
because like I never could even like verbalize, I think, like my dreams for a long time.
Yeah.
Even after like I started just doing like a lot of track days, and then when I very first started club racing, I remember I met this girl named Nikki Johnson. She started racing
Mm-hmm.
at the same time I did, and I'll never forget, we're at Willow Springs and we're sitting in the bleachers, and turned to me and she said, "I want to race motorcycles professionally." And I was like, "Me too."
Yeah.
Like, but it was like I finally had like that permission to like say it out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And it was like really cool. And then I was like, yeah, I want to figure out how to like be good at this. Like I
So
have,
did you race? Were there many other girls?
yeah, not a lot. There's a handful. I think probably being in California, we had more probably than you
Mm-hmm.
might have like in other parts. The club I started at, WSMC, there was like me and Nikki. Yeah, there's probably like a good 5 or 6 of us back then.
Mm-hmm.
Which is,
So
I mean,
did you
yeah.
race with the guys as well? Like
There
they
was,
obviously
yeah, there
didn't
was
have enough.
no girls class back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
fairly new thing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like the mix, like, and all I can relate it to is
Yeah.
say Aussie rules football. Like one of my best friends has 2 daughters that play, and they played with the boys growing up,
Oh,
and
that's
now they
great.
play just women, and they kick ass because
Yeah.
they,
They've
yeah,
started with
they
the
learn.
boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, but like in a game like football or baseball or basketball or whatever, track and field, like guys have an advantage because you need to be strong and big and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And like in motorsport, it's like no advantage. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So
Absolutely.
I think that's probably one of the things I like about it the most. Like, it's a really sad thing, but like we talk about it here in the US, we have the NBA and you
Mm-hmm.
have the WNBA, and people don't want to watch the women as much as they want to watch the men because they want to watch the biggest, baddest motherfuckers they can, you
Yeah,
know?
the different skills and the,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's a shame because those women are truly talented. You know what I mean? But the
Mm-hmm.
cool thing in motorsport is that like the best is the best, and it just doesn't matter what you got tucked into your
And
jeans,
we, at
you
a, and
know?
at first glance, you're there with a helmet on. People don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
And they're just watching you ride, and it comes down to that.
Yeah. And it's like the
That's
only
crazy
like
cool.
thing in life where I've ever experienced where it's been a huge advantage to be a female. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
that's not normal.
Very cool. That's so good. It's bloody awesome. Very,
Yeah.
very good. So what about, because you were a bit older, how do you go with, I guess anxiety and fears, and you seem like you're not too conscious of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we do the things we can to mitigate the risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always looked at it like I think I've probably been healthier because of racing than I would have
Mm-hmm.
been. I think if I hadn't, I never went through that stage of going out to bars and drinking, I don't drink and drive. I don't do drugs. I take
Mm-hmm.
decently good care of my body, and I wear the best equipment that I can, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's an amazing way to look at it, actually. Like the bigger picture, it's not just, okay, yeah, I ride a motorbike and it can be dangerous. Like you say,
yeah,
you could be so unhealthy and doing all
yeah.
sorts of things that's worse.
I've gotten hurt worse, like, getting rear-ended at a stoplight in my car than I have coming off a
Mm-hmm.
motorcycle at 100 miles an hour? So,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Do they
Also,
teach you how to fall? Do you
no,
learn how to fall?
no, falling usually just kind of works itself out.
You don't really have much up you go.
Yeah. My husband and I do joke that some people do seem to be exceptionally bad at it, but
Yes.
um like he teases me. I have a really bad, he says, like, a bad habit of trying to save something to the bitter end. And like
Uh-huh.
when we ride motocross, especially, he's like, sometimes I think if you just let yourself fall off, it would hurt less. Like,
But you're like, no, I'm not until
yeah,
that last. Yeah. So you compete
yeah.
against each other?
Um, Very rarely. We've only
Okay.
actually raced each other a handful of times, and um, that's a little bit by design, more for him than
Yeah.
for me.
Who
Yes,
wins most?
yeah. I mean, he pretty much kicks my ass all the time. He's he's
You
he's a
let him or
badass.
he does?
No, he's just like, he's so talented. It's irritating.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just like really good, and he's really cerebral. And
Yeah.
I think one thing that really does hold me back a lot is my fear. Not like fear of like falling down or fear of any of that.
Hmm.
Like we've just been talking about this a lot lately, is fear of failure, or like
Yeah, for sure.
fear of making a mistake. And
Hmm.
I think that has probably, in all aspects of my life, been the thing that's held me back the most. You know what I mean? And for
Hmm.
sure, like, now that I have a child, and especially if I ever have a daughter, like, I will do everything I can to like not let that be a thing?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because I
Love
think
that.
it's just like the biggest thing that will like keep you from really figuring stuff out. So,
And living life to the fullest and making the most of every single opportunity. And
yeah, totally. Like, we've been just goofing off in the yard. We've got a little trials bike, so I had Josh like half bury a tire, and I'm trying to like work on like wheeling up onto it and over the top of it and stuff. And that's something that, like, in my 20s I would have just been like, I can't do
yeah,
that. And
yeah, yeah.
now I'm
I
like,
did. I saw your video actually, and I love that you posted the one where you were like, you didn't get all the way over, but then you're
yeah,
like, yep, nailed it.
yeah, because like I hate that it took me to like, my mid 30s to be okay with like falling down and looking like an ass. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, okay, so everyone
Hmm.
laughed at you. Did you die? Like.
Yeah. But you gave it a go, and there's people that wouldn't even go near it.
Yeah, so I just wish I could have known that when I was like 12.
Yeah. Well, I'm 40, 41 or 42. I can't
Oh,
remember.
you do that too.
So
Oh my God, it's not just
I
me. I
I
spent
think that's the first time I've done it.
I
I
spent
don't
all
know.
last year telling people I was 37, like all last year. And then like
Yes.
I actually turned 37 in February, and I was like, I
Yeah,
got an
that's
extra
you
year.
actually got me questioning it. I can't. I seriously. I'd like to think I'm just still way below that, but yeah,
Yeah.
you get. It sounds like you've hit it early. I remember that about being 40. I was like, I don't give a what anyone thinks anymore,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's so
crazy.
refreshing.
Oh, isn't
Like
it
it's so
nice?
good,
Yeah, I
so
think
good. Oh,
having a kid helped a lot with that.
yeah,
Like,
true.
for
Yeah,
me, a lot
true.
of that was like just being like, I don't care. Like, I just
Yeah.
want him to think I'm awesome. You know,
Yeah, and
like,
they just give you that strength, don't they, to not worry about because you're doing the right thing for them. It just shifts a lot.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Ah,
Hmm.
it's so good, so good. You mentioned Australia before, so you've been over here. Is it purely to do with the racing, or have you?
Actually, my mom lived in Brisbane for a couple years.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to think when it was, like 2011, 11 or 12 or somewhere back then.
Okay.
So I did go and spend like 2 weeks with her while she was there because I was like, when else am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I've been really lucky to like do a lot of traveling through Europe. And excuse me, I'm talking so much, my throat's getting
No,
dry.
you need a beer.
Yeah, seriously. To me, Australia is like adventure light. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, it's like all new stuff, but everyone's still speaking English. So I really enjoyed it. I think the Australian people to me are very similar to American people. You know,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool, and I enjoyed it. And then Josh did the Phillip Island Classic last year, and then I was able to go back with him this year, so that was great.
So last night I was Googling a bit more on you. You're meant, if it happens, I suppose this year, you're meant to be racing at Phillip Island?
Well, we did in January.
Oh, so, okay. Oh,
It's
so
already
that's
passed.
not at the same time as the normal. Yep.
No.
So you went in the race, was it Team America
Yeah, so
International?
it's pretty cool. I'm new to it. It's like classic racing, so they're like old vintage bikes. So I think like the cutoff is 1983. So like the year I was born is like the newest the bikes could be.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The biggest thing that's nice about it is like just the atmosphere at the track is like so chill, and everyone's just happy to be there, and like you know it's like not stressful. So that was like a really cool chance to go do that and get to ride Phillip Island, which is like legendary. I had a pretty awful weekend, but it was still great to be there. So it was fun. Yeah.
I watched, and I'm planning to go next, or hopefully when things are up and running, I'll be there for sure. I think I can't remember who it was now. Someone hit a seagull and just like splattered the seagull.
Oh yeah.
I was like, does it happen often? Because they're right near the ocean, so.
Yeah, just at Phillip Island. My husband hit one at a racetrack here in the U.S. one time, and he said it was like the most painful thing. He said
it's like we sit there and laugh, or not laugh, but
yeah,
I wouldn't laugh, but watching, but it's dangerous.
Yeah, like I mean, they're big, and you hit them at speed, and yeah, he said he hit one in a race. It was before I knew him, and he said he was just like black and blue, like in his whole area, and I guess like the guy behind him said he was just like sprayed in feathers and blood. Like,
but it's a solid.
Yeah. Yeah, not ideal.
Seagulls.
Yeah, they're the worst, aren't they?
Another thing I did look up, it was one of the first things I found, and I have to mention it. I watched your photo shoot for Free Gun Underwear. And my initial thought was, oh no, it's going to be a girly, sexy, like, okay, you know, what are we going to see here? And then I was big time impressed because it was just that tough chick, badass.
Oh my God, I was so like, it was so awkward because it was actually like at a test. So there was like, the guy was like, he wanted to do it at the racetrack. And I'm like, yeah, dude, there's like people here. Like, you want me to strip down to my skivvies? So we're like around the back of the track, and like strict orders to like some of the mechanics, like do not let anyone on the racetrack. Like I was a little mortified about the whole thing to start with, but I
bet you they were still watching, weren't they? Were they all like,
oh, I'm sure they were like, what's going on over there? But it was such a cool company, and like what they were doing was awesome, and they were they're like, let's do it, and I was like, all right, let me get a spray tan or something. Like, this is going to be brutal. But
no, I was impressed. It was so good. So good.
Yeah, it was like probably one of the like gnarliest. I was just like pretty nervous about it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're like, and it's funny because actually someone hated on me a little bit for it. Really? That year at Daytona, I got into the top 10 at Daytona that year. It was my best result ever in the Daytona 200, which is like a huge race here in the US. I was so proud, and the announcer was like talking to me afterwards, and I mentioned, my Free Gun sponsor, and a press guy from here in the US who's like just a real dickhead, who has his own website that I won't mention, made a point of like saying, like Melissa like finished 10th, down 2 laps, and immediately began hawking her sponsored underwear over the PA. Like, he was such a douche.
Really?
And I was just like,
dickheads everywhere.
Yeah, and I just remember at the time being like, I got like a sponsor from outside the industry and like brought them in, which is something everybody wants to do. And you want to like hate on me, like,
and they sold the product.
Well, it was just like,
absolutely.
and it's I have to remind myself, like, I think I get like those things happen so infrequently that when they
Yeah.
do, it's like, oh, that felt really bad, you know?
Yeah. And they're not even based on factual type. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
just
just
people
like
reaching for crap.
literally just like a fat old man like typing on a keyboard in his
Yeah.
mother's
What can I pick
basement.
out? This will do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 No,
So, but
that is
no, it was
pretty
really
cool.
cool. That was a fun deal. And all year I got to hear people say, "I'm in your panties." So that was pretty
Nice.
funny.
Nice. That's what we all want to hear.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love it. No, that was so good. I was very impressed with that. It was, yeah, they sold it. They sold it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, brilliant. There was one of the things too. I was talking to Dave, the host of the podcast, about music. You know, when the guys are getting ready to race, and I'm like, I just sit there. I'm like, I want to know what they're listening to. Everyone's obviously got their little song.
Yeah.
Do you have a set one, or do you pick different things?
It really just depends. I really do love every kind of music. So I mean, it could be anything from Paint It Black to Taylor
Yeah,
Swift. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it just
yeah.
depends on the day. And for me, it's just about like how the song makes me feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And there was a
yeah.
time where I felt like, oh, I gotta listen to something aggressive and like
Something
get all
angry and
rah. And then I
yeah.
was like, no, I like do best when I'm having fun. You know, like took me a
Mm-hmm.
while to like realize like no, I like something fun. So I do like listen to like a lot of really garbagey pop music because it just
Yeah.
makes me feel fun and like
Feels good. Yeah.
lighthearted, and that apparently is like what gets me going, you know, just being
Yeah.
silly.
I
So
get
yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of Taylor Swift.
That's okay. Hey, I've been to her concert, and
Oh, lucky.
my best friend paid for. I can't remember what they call. What are Taylor Swift fans called? There's some funny
Oh, they
name.
do have a name. I don't know it.
Yeah. So you've got that bit in the middle of the stage, and
Mhm.
she's there. And my best friend's fanatic fan, so she got us these tickets. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to Taylor Swift. And
Yeah.
I felt this is that imposter syndrome almost, because we
Yeah.
were so close. I felt like shit because I didn't know all the words.
Oh,
So there's Taylor Swift like right in front of me, and I'm trying to like bop along and trying to kind of sing,
that's
and
so funny.
but it blew my mind. She was bloody awesome.
I'm supposed to go
Really
in
cool.
July, and I'm just like hoping it still happens.
Oh,
I've never
surely,
been.
hope so.
I'm on a all
Yeah.
girls endurance team, so like it's a female world endurance team, and one of my teammates is French. Her name's Melody, and she is just the absolute. She's awesome. We became really good
Mhm.
friends, and we kind of at didn't we were a little standoffish towards each other at first, you know, but then like as we warmed up and we both realized we were both huge Taylor Swift fans. And so she
Nice.
came here this winter to like hang out with me, and as soon as she went home, she was just like, "Oh, I want to come back." And then she
Oh.
saw that Taylor Swift was going to be playing in Los Angeles, and she bought us tickets. So
Oh.
now I'm like, please let that concert
Surely it'll
still
only get postponed if
happen.
anything. Well,
Yeah, it's like, oh,
and again, going back to my best friend, I just meant she had tickets to Miranda Lambert, who was going to be
oh,
playing in Australia, I think a couple of weeks ago. So she was
oh,
devastated
that
that she couldn't go to that. But
sucks.
again, I guess they're all postponed, and
Yeah, it'll happen
yeah.
eventually. Oh, so it's like
I took.
American country music like a big thing there?
No, it's not. It's really not. I think there's only some of us that, because they do a thing called CMC Rocks, which is up north of Brisbane.
Okay.
Every year that's getting bigger and bigger. Like Carrie
Mhm.
Underwood came over the other year and played it. But actually, I went to a Carrie Underwood concert, and it was Keith Urban, but she
Yeah.
was his support act, and we're just like, hang on. In
Uh,
America, it's a whole other way, but because he's
yeah.
Australian,
Oh,
so
I see.
it's
I
yeah, so
forgot
it's still
that.
in a massive, or not a stadium, but a big art centre. But it's not. It's like I'd say I'm an American country music fan, and people give me a lot of shit. So
They give
it's
you
not.
for
It's
it here too, so it's fine.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we could just stand up proud and yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
I
really
also
good.
like it,
So
so
good.
it's fine.
Yeah, and again, I like all kinds of music. I'm not even
Yeah,
I like a bit of everything.
that's
But yeah,
great.
that's cool. I have one more
Okay.
a question. I don't know if everyone asked this. So, who is your favourite MotoGP rider?
Oh, oof. Okay, so this is gonna be controversial, but if
Oh,
we're talking of all time, it's Max Biaggi.
okay. Why is that?
Well, when I first was starting to get into the whole racing thing, also was when Faster came out, right?
Yep.
And they were talking about like this rivalry between Rossi and Biaggi. And I'm also a huge Rossi fan, so whatever.
Yeah.
But at the time, I just like I saw the intensity of Biaggi, and I really like that resonated with me a lot. It was like
Yeah.
even when he, like his temper seemed to get the better of him and almost made him like kind of look like a jackass, like I can relate to that because that's
But it's
me.
passion too. It's passion.
Yeah, that's how I am, and I'm just like
Yep.
I can totally understand, like I can relate to seeing red or like wanting something so bad, and I can relate to like that frustration of like I don't know, I felt like he was a really relatable character. So,
Yeah. I like
yeah.
that. You got that
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. So once we're all out from being locked up, what's next for you? What's the plans?
Well, I'm just waiting to see what our race schedule is going to look like. Right now, our series is saying that it's still going to be a 10 race series. This year, I'm actually working as a mechanic for one of the teams.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, sucks being a grown up, but I need a paycheck. So,
Yes.
so I had this whole plan that
Absolutely.
I was going to work for this team, and then do some racing on the side, like club racing at home. So I'm actually in the process of building up a brand new R1 for myself that I'll be able to do some club racing on. Um, and then hopefully going back to work as a mechanic. So I'm just like, the only thing that's nerve wracking is like the longer this gets pushed back, I'm like, are we just gonna race like bang, 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 like one
Uh-huh.
on top of the other? Like I'm not really sure. And honestly, I'm trying not to think about it because like what good's it gonna do? You know?
And you don't know till it happens.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting to
Yep.
see. Like if the rumor has it, they're thinking maybe we'll be racing mid-June, but I think just have to wait and
Who
see, I guess,
knows? Oh, at
right?
least you've got that. You've got a bit of property. You can kind of keep training, keep practicing, and
Yeah, and like we have, I have like all these projects I'm doing around the house that I've been saying for years I wanted to do, and so I'm getting to do that, and I'm getting to like take my time building my own bike, and I started doing like some Instagram stories, kind of showing people like what I'm doing, and so it's been kind of fun.
love it. Did you only learn all that too after?
Yeah, just kind of like by necessity, and then it turned out I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and it's fun for me because I've been really lucky that I have some really great friends that have taught me a lot. And so like when I have an opportunity to like share that and say like, hey, like, something so stupid, like people will see pictures in my garage and they're like, you're using like why are there muffin tins everywhere? And I'm like, oh, I use muffin tins to keep like the extra nuts and bolts in so I don't lose
Yes.
them. And people are like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yes.
fun when I get to like share whatever I found that like works for me, and also
Yeah.
like
Do it the
same
Melissa
thing.
way.
Yeah, like same thing I talked about with writing, where like I'll be like, hey, I got no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do my best and like I'll show you guys. And I had one the other day where I was like, look at this, like I broke a bit off in a bolt head trying to drill it for safety wire. Like I'm just gonna
Yeah.
cry on it and use my tears to like lubricate it to
Nice.
get the bit out and like just have a laugh at myself about
Oh,
it.
you might end up YouTube famous. That shit
Yeah,
might go
maybe.
viral.
You never know, right? Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. I've had so much fun chatting to you.
Oh,
It's been
thanks.
really
I've
good.
enjoyed it too.
All the
Very
way
good.
across the world.
I know,
Oh,
right?
hopefully, maybe Phillip Island we'll meet up and have a beer
That would be
when we're all
phenomenal.
healthy.
I would enjoy that very much.
Yeah, be so good, so good. Well, thank
Very
you so
cool.
much for taking the time to chat to me today.
Yeah,
We'll definitely keep chatting and stay in touch and keen
cool.
to see what happens in the next year or so.
Awesome. I look forward to watching your MotoGP education.
I know this could be good. Hey, I
Yeah.
might get on a bike. I could start at
Yeah.
40, whatever I am. I can start now.
Of course you can. There's no reason. Yeah, I believe in it.
Yeah, so good.
Just
All right,
act,
well,
just
thank
act
you.
confident.
That's right. Pretend, yeah.
Right?
That's right. That's what we're going to do.
Awesome. Well, I hope
So
you enjoy
good.
the rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.